Okay, so now that I've shown you that Mr. MB3 was pointing out these black dot craft in the sky behind his house during this wildfire, let me show you what it turns into when I zoom in on it and run the contrast adjustments, and you'll be able to see that it's clearly an intelligently designed craft. And once it starts going and zooming in, I'm going to turn it sideways because right now it shrinks the picture down. You can see the black dot craft here. And Mr. MB pointing at it. Right here. Right there. We're going to zoom in on that one and run some contrast adjustments. And to the older viewers, don't worry, I got some brand new gravy that has never been seen before on this channel coming up. But for those who have even looked at this already, look at it again, because this is the tip of an iceberg that we're about to see emerge, and we can only begin to fathom what the shape and the contour and the context of this iceberg is. So now, as you can see, I'm zooming in there. I'm going to turn it sideways. Same video, just sideways, so we get the full view of it once it starts to really bring out some detail. Wait for it. Wait for it. By the final frames, you'll see this is clearly intelligently designed craft. I hope my focus will work with us. All these equidistant ridges back here screams intelligent design. I'll show you some still shots so this zoom don't keep zooming in and out. Come on, just give me a focus. There we go, locked in the focus. There's ridges that are on each one of these humps. It develops ridges, and there's a bunch of little tiny dotted lines. You'll be able to see that it goes into a fine, minute detail. And normally when you zoom into something too far, it blurs out and pixelates. For some reason with these, you can get super fine detail, high resolution, even though you're zoomed way in. These little dots along here, these little dots along here and along here, I didn't even have to take a screenshot. This is just what it is. All these little dots, little dotted line here, dotted line here, dotted line here, dotted line here. All the fine detail on these smaller ridges. Each one of these larger ridges or humps has smaller ridges on it. All the fine detail here. There's no way that's not intelligent design. So these little black dot craft, these anti-gravity invisible drones, for lack of a better word, are definitely some high tech in the sky all around us. So now just keep that in mind. The link will be in the description if you want to watch it again. And just so you know, this is a very exclusive distribution list and a very small elite group that you're now part of. This information is not meant to be seen by the general public. That's why Dick Flinghammer here a year ago said these don't show up on your channel. I've explained that they were erasing my channel from the bottom up, and then mid to late 2020, something happened with the algorithms and all of the truther channels saw it. They're like, I'm getting views again, and they're putting my content in people's feed, and I'm not getting shadow banned. And at that moment, they returned over 100 videos to my channel. Dick probably put this comment in at a time when I included it as a link in a description, and then he went and scrolled through my channel and realized it's not on here. Just to let you know. Highly censored for a reason. To prolong the calm before the storm. Before we move along, I just wanted to give you a little closer look. So you can see the fine detail in here. All these little tiny ridges. The symmetry of it all screams intelligent design. these little ridges here screams intelligent design. No way that that's not. And pixels don't formulate themselves into complex patterns like this. I'm about to show you some more of these that no one's ever seen on this channel from Joe Imbriano's videos. But first, there's one here, there's a couple up here below it, and we'll go over those more later. But it didn't come out well in my last video, so I just wanted to let you watch the first 50 seconds of this guy here. I've turned the volume down, but link will be in the description to watch the original. I zoom in past it, zoom back out. There he is, still right there. And then there's one here and one there. And these kind of come in and out. The two that are harder to see come in and out of view. And when they come into view, simultaneously, so do all these others that are scattered along the clouds over here. Like they're all on the same cloaking device. They don't come in and out individually. They simultaneously come in and out of view. You can clearly see it here. So this first one's visible for the first 50 seconds of that video. For the last 5 seconds, these two become more visible, and when they do, you can see this one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. There's one over here above the mountain. There's one right there. I was zoomed in a little too far for you to see where I was pointing. One right there. One right there. One right there. One over here. One here. One there. One here. And those all come into view simultaneously when you can see these other two. If you watch, they kind of flicker in and out, and when you pause it on a spot where you can see these two, you can see all the rest of them. If you pause it on a spot where you can't really see these two, you can't really see the rest of them, like they're all on the same cloaking device. For better viewing, I'm going to leave the phone sideways on this one. There's the telephone pole, and up above the telephone pole, that's the one that you can see the whole time, and below it there's a couple that come in and out of view intermittently. And I'm going to show you what happens when you zoom in on this one and run the contrast. This one is why I call them plasma-powered Thunderbirds. Pull it out a little bit. I'm messing it all up. But don't worry, it'll all come clear here in just a second. So I would take a screenshot, zoom in on it all the way, run the contrast, and then take another screenshot. Go to my gallery and grab that newer, deeper image, run contrast on it, and zoom in even further using my camera's phone abilities, just from the regular tools that are in the art gallery of everyone's phone. To stop it and lock the focus in. Here you can see what looks like a bird's head and a perfect circle right where the eyeball would be. And the general wing pattern looks like a couple of wings going out this way and maybe even a tail coming back here. And a head. And a perfect circle right where the eyeball would be. That's why I call it plasma-powered Thunderbirds. And here you'll see some of the same equidistant ridges and things that seem to indicate there's this hologram effect, like how the same pattern repeats over and over and over right here, going outward in concentric circles. Notice the fine detail on these ridges along here. Very similar to what we saw on the one that I ran the same process with from the previous video of MB3. And I'm going to show you the same process I ran on the black dots above Joe Imbriano's video. And you can see about 10 or 15 of them above Joe Imbriano. This is a video by Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, titled Strange Celestial Phenomenon Observed Over Orange County, but he didn't notice what I'm going to show you here. Here it's paused at 41 seconds. You can see one here, one here, one there, one there, one here, one here, one here, one here, one there. And I'm going to rewind it and let you see that these things all come into view and go out of view simultaneously.
And the moon isn't scheduled to be out again until later this evening. But what we're witnessing here right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the moon.
See how they all...
You have a look at this.
We'll watch that again. I'll turn the volume down. Watch how they all come into focus and out of focus, out of view simultaneously.
Because what we're looking at here is the moon coming up over the eastern horizon at 7:45 in the morning. And the moon isn't scheduled to be out again until later this evening. But what we're witnessing here right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the moon. That's right. If you have a look at this.
Now he's pulling your leg. It's actually the sun, but he's trying to say that they're the same size and that they're local and that the biblical cosmology rather than the heliocentric model is the real deal. Here you'll see one hanging out in the upper right quadrant of the sun.
Very, very fascinating event you're witnessing right here, folks.
Right. Wait for it. Right here. I've taken some still frames, some screenshots that I'll zoom in on, show you this. It was at 1 minute we were just looking at. This is around 5 minutes, 45 seconds where it gets a longer, cleaner shot of the sun with this black dot craft hanging out right there. You can see the black dot, right?
This is the sun. It looks just like the moon. It's the same size as the moon.
So I've taken screenshots.
From Earth as the moon.
I'm going to acknowledge that these could be smudges, but they would have to be on his camera lens, not the windshield, because you'll see them move in reference to the blue tint line that goes across the top. They go up and down in reference to that line, and they go up into the blue tint. But what I'm about to show you next is a little different, and it's definitely not a smudge.
Government is at war with God because the government is controlled by satanic, Luciferian pedophiles.
You see him over here, right?
Jesus Christ.
And they go up and down in reference to that blue line, even up into the blue.
His Son and His Holy Spirit.
Before I show you any more little black dots, let me show you what I extracted doing the zoom and contrast from one of his videos, a different video, and I'll show you where this came from as soon as we look at the zoom and contrast to see more of what appears to be intelligently designed craft. What, did it pause? Okay, here you watch me zoom in on it. And it goes from a black dot in the sky, which people would blow off as a smudge on the camera lens or whatever. You don't know what to look for until you know that it exists. Just like the natives on the shore didn't recognize the ships of the newcomers, the white colonialists, because they didn't know they existed. Likewise, we don't see the ships in our sky. Let me try and get that to quit doing that. Because we don't know what to look for and that it exists, and once you can see it, then you can see it. Watch the symmetry, the ridge here and the ridge here. One there and one there. That's some sort of intelligently designed craft. All these little ridges down here. And then I think I zoom back out maybe and show you the, I don't know, we'll see. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen this. Little tiny ridges here. The symmetrical nature of the shape itself screams intelligent design. And I know it's tough to wrap your mind around, but that's what I'm saying when I say this is the tip of an iceberg. And we haven't seen nothing yet. But we're gonna. And this will help desensitize you so that when we do see the rest of that iceberg emerge from our skies, you'll be ready to not join one of the tribes in retaliation in their preconceived ideas. So just again, to show you, you can actually see his logo in the original image right here, the Fullerton Informer, and I'm going to show you the video where this came from. And then once I show you that this is the dot that we zoom in on, that little black dot in the sky, that Mr. MB3 has tried to get us to clue into, that Deadeye Customs has filmed thousands of and clued into the understanding that these are craft. Trying to get it to focus and it's not helping. Really super duper not helping. I don't know why it has the Hall of Mirrors effect, how that same shape pattern goes outward in bands and segments that repeat. But I know that's intelligently designed. So this is from a video that he titled Steps in the Sky, the Stairway to Heaven, or ? And he's showing you that electromagnetic frequencies are interfering with the cloud patterns, and he says right here at this spot that it just happens to be right over a military base. And at 9 minutes 31 seconds, it looks like simultaneously he jerks the camera and something flies by. But what it might actually be is that that thing that flies by creates a distortion pattern, an interference pattern, and jerks his camera with the electromagnetic waves. The coincidence of him jerking the camera right at the same time that this thing flies by is highly coincidental, so much so that it might actually be the thing flying by that makes it appear that he jerked the camera, but it was a distortion field around the ship that flew by.
Interaction. And it just so happens to be right over a military base.
Did you see it?
Magnetic interaction.
Electromagnetic interaction.
And it just so happens to be right over a military base.
Okay, one more time. You know that it happens right after he says that it happens to be over a military base, and watch, the thing that flies by coincides with what appears to be him jerking the camera around. And it took me a lot to be able to pause it right on that screenshot, and I'll show you that here in a minute.
So this is definitely some form of ground-based electromagnetic interaction. And it just so happens to be right over a military base.
So it's right at the 9-minute, 31-second mark. And if you pause it at just the right frame, because there's probably 10 different frames you can pause it on at the 9-minute, 31-second mark. But if you catch it at just the right split second, you can catch that, which is what flies by and makes the camera appear as if it jerked around. And that is what I just zoomed into to show you what appears to be the intelligently designed craft. And I believe there's a good chance it was the electromagnetic distortion field of this thing flying by that made his camera appear as if it jerked around. Because the chances of that, him jerking the camera simultaneously as it flies by, is so slim that there's a good chance it was the flyby that caused the appearance of the distortion in the camera, and that he didn't actually jerk the camera around at all. So once you've seen enough of these, like Mr. MB3 throwing it into inverted mode, and then I zoom in and contrast that one out and come up with an intelligently designed craft, along with the one over in my own video that I called a plasma-powered Thunderbird, along with the one from Joe Imbriano's Stairway to Heaven video. Once you know these things are actually out there, you don't automatically dismiss it as a smudge on the camera lens. But you can see them once you know they exist. Like the guys on the shore that didn't even see the ships because they didn't know even such a thing existed, so they literally couldn't see it. Once you know these things exist, then you can see them all over, and you're not as quick to dismiss something as smudges on the camera lens when you see something like this. Had to lock in the focus. All these little dots in the sky, I'm about to show you a bunch of those that are undeniable, not smudges on the camera lens. Nothing even close. So this is a video I created titled How Celestial Cubes and Spheres Influence Winter Fire Season. We'll get our way back to those celestial spheres that may actually be the source where all of these anti-gravitational invisible drones are coming from. Those celestial spheres that are now circling our planet that are part of winter fire season. We'll get back to that part. But sticking with the subject of these micro drones, invisible anti-gravity, black dot craft I call them, this guy calls them cloud tenders. For more information on these celestial bodies that are passing through our atmosphere, I'm recommending this channel called Deadeye Customs. Here's a couple of them. I chose this one because it says Passing Illuminated Objects, Electrical Connection. That's the electrical connection that I've been talking about, but this guy seems to have a better understanding because he's studied the wakes and the washout of these objects that seem to be passing through and affecting our atmosphere. The other day, Mr. MB3 made a video, talked about how our atmosphere was compressed for a day. So I'm going to recommend his channel for these celestial bodies that are passing over. Here's one called Cube Phenomenon Sky Captures. Cube Collection, extra long duration, each photo. But the one that I'm going to go over is this one called ShadowCraft, Cloud Tenders, Small Dark Objects Influencing Our Skies. And just today, Mr. MB3 put out a video where a guy sent in a photo of a big cube in the sky next to him, and he said it followed him for like 80 miles or something to that effect.
All around the world. Ethan from Louisiana was driving through New Mexico in Deming, New Mexico, and he said he followed this thing, or it followed him, for the better part of 50 miles. It was just flying through the sky. He has no idea what it was. He managed to get a couple of photos of what appears to be a black square flying through the sky of Deming, New Mexico.
So this is by Deadeye Customs, titled ShadowCraft, Cloud Tenders, Small Dark Objects Influencing Our Skies.
For some reason, this is the third time that it's froze my computer and kicked me off using my screen capture device, so I'm trying another one. Hopefully this one works.
So I'm going to point something out to you that I want you to watch for. We're just going to watch a little bit of his video, and then I'm going to show you some screenshots I've taken. They're blurring out and pixelating his video on the out feed. It was a problem that I was having, an issue that I was having with previous videos, where they scramble the pixels and it goes in and out of focus. But on his end, before he uploads the video, it's crystal clear. So it's at the points where it comes into focus that I've taken some screenshots in order to try and highlight what he's showing you here a little bit better.
Do a little video on these little craft, little cloud tenders. Got them up there.
See, he goes through them.
You can tell there's kind of like a disturbance in this cloud, like something is kind of, you know, right here, and that's these guys. They're small, but they got a big influence. And you got these weird, like little trails, almost little vortex trails that go down everywhere.
That's the electrical connection.
See right there, you got another one of those things going down.
But he shows you these little black dot craft by the thousand. See how it pixelates out and goes in and out of focus?
Right here into this funky looking cloud. And then you got these little ShadowCraft things. Another one leading the charge. There's usually one at the front of these things. And there he is again. He went from up there. So they shoot around a lot.
They're pixelating the crap out of this video.
Things that are billowing out cloud.
But you'll see, he's got hundreds of them.
Individuals all over this like Brooklyn current pathway. You got the cube looking thing right here with this little side orb. You got another one of these little trails stretching out. Got one of those guys up there. This is something that I see a lot.
I know you can't see nothing yet. That's why I've taken some screenshots to show you. Just now, I watched one up here in the corner go in and out of focus, and I'll continue to see them.
I don't know if they're sucking it to him or what.
But I've captured them, so I'll show you what he's trying to show you, that they keep pixelating out. And you gotta pause it at just the right minute.
I don't know, there's a little pod that's kind of steaming in the atmosphere. You got these kind of invisible pathways. It's pointing to a little point. You got this little guy right at the front.
Can you see a little black dot right there?
Little guy's got a big influence.
He shows you the clusters of them by the hundreds.
Inside it, you got them all around the edges.
Here's one.
Bam, right there.
He shows you big ones.
A little better photo right here. And all around the front, inside and everywhere. Chemtrail plane, poisoning us as usual. Thank you, Cabal. And see, it's pulling this energy.
There's one right here at the tip of my pen.
You can actually see a few craters on this sucker.
I have video of these, not just still frames. Watch it go in and out of pixelation. So here's a whole cluster of them, and I have a bunch of screenshots that I've taken. Where you can just see them all over in here, but you got to pause it at just the right point in his video. Sometimes there's only one or two. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 or 10 or 20 or 30. Come on. Work with me here. I don't see the one there. Some of them are bigger than others. Just past a giant one. Here you can see this one in the foreground. And 1, 2, 3, but this one looks bigger or closer than that one and that one. And this one looks much closer. One. Giant one. 2, 3. So I won't point them out, I'll just scroll through and you can spot them. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to fix the, hold on.
I thought it was me.
Okay, I got my focus locked in.
Okay, now I do too.
But I swear, they are pixelating out his videos. So there's one right here. You can watch it go in and out of focus. Look at all the different sizes on this one. Right next to the camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big close one. So these are like little tiny craft that are in the skies, and I have video of these, not just still frames, where I'm talking and filming the sky, and you can see up to 16 of these standing in the clouds, and I'll show you that here in just a second. I call them plasma-powered Thunderbirds, and I've made a few videos featuring them, so the old viewers of this channel know about these, but they're going to become part of our reality. They already are. It's just the introduction process seems to be accelerating, and maybe they stack upon one another. I think we might have already seen that picture, not sure. So there's one over here that, couple of them here, 3 of them here. Probably have to zoom in more on that one. There's one right here. I have a bunch more. I probably should have prepared this a little better. There you go. There's a cluster you haven't seen yet. And can't even fit them all in the frame. Count them. So, I have video of these where I zoom in past one and it goes out of the frame, then I zoom back and you can see it again. So this just looks like a regular old picture. Zoom in and see if we can find them. Oh, there they are, all over. One here, 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 and here. There's more over here. See them all in the cloud there? But if you didn't know, you just think those are little holes in the cloud and blue that you can see behind it. They're not. You can even see the house in that one. Kind of gives you a reference of size. So here I don't see them yet, except it looks like there's one over here hiding. Oh yeah, spotted him right there. And it looks like there's something going on right here too. Not sure what though. Oh, there's one over here. And there's one here. Yeah. Don't forget that one. So maybe the Borg aren't in a big black cube. Maybe they're in a bunch of small cubes. Best is yet to come. I got the light turned down so that it doesn't blow out the camera with too much light, so it's hard for me to actually even see it. Come on, where are they at? There's a couple. Wait for it. Wait for it. 100 of them coming up. Maybe. Just turn the light up. Okay, here we go. You ready? You can kind of see them. Now you can kind of see them more. Same cloud above the house from a distance. You can kind of see them. Now you can see them. Now you can really see them. Now you can see them everywhere. So these things are really in our sky. That's the point I'm trying to get across. And this guy, he figured it out long enough ago. He's cool with it. So he deals with it pretty rationally. Deadeye Customs. He's the only other guy I've seen that has spotted these. And that's why they're pixelating his videos too. There's a bunch of them, you see them? So they're almost easier to spot when they're up against blue sky. In this video, there's one that's clear right here the whole time. You can see it for the first 40 seconds until I pause the camera and go film somewhere else. For the first 40 seconds, you can clearly see this one. There's two more that appear below it in a triangle pattern, and when you can see those other two, they come in and out of view, these other two. And when they come into view, there's about 12 or 13 more scattered all throughout the sky here. I've made a few videos regarding this.
These days, they're right down here, almost ground level. So this is zoomed all the way out. If I zoom in, see what I'm saying? They're really close. They're coming down. I, in fact, watched them go. I watched some of them lower. Like this one seems to be pretty low. I watched them go from a higher altitude and come right down. Now you can start to see the eye form.
You see one right there?
And these horns on the back of the head, for lack of a better term.
So I'm going to let you watch it one more time where I just focus on this one, and you'll notice the two below it that come into view, and then I'm going to pause it and show you some others that appear throughout the sky here. And ignore the crazy guy jabbering. Here, I'll turn him up so you can hear him.
Like I was saying, they get real close these days. They're right down here, almost ground level. So this is zoomed all the way out. If I zoom in, see what I'm saying? They're really close. They're coming down. I, in fact, watched them go. I watched some of them lower. Like this one seems to be pretty low. I watched them go from a higher altitude.
And there's one down here.
Right down. Now you can start to see the eye form.
Can you see the one down here also?
Horns on the back of the head, for lack of a better term, because like we've never seen this before, so we're gonna have to come up with our own words to describe it. That's what's happening. For real.
See the other two below it? Here I've paused it at the 43-second mark. It was supposed to be 42. Anyway, you can pause it and play it and pause it and play it until you can see all three come into view. One here, and then another one back over here. And when you see those, that's when you'll see these others. No thank you on the game of solitaire. There's one here. There's one in the sky right here. There's one in the sky right here. There's more in the clouds. One over here. One here. One down here. One right here above the mountain. And you can probably spot some more if you look through there. So there's the main three. Oh, where'd my poker go? This one's visible the whole time for the first 44 or 5 seconds, but all of them are most visible for the last 5 seconds. So between the 40-second mark and the 45-second mark, they seem to be more visible. But what I've noticed is when this one and this one come into view, there's one right there, just above the power line. Let me show you around here. There's one here. There's one here, and because you can see those, usually people would think, oh, that's one of the boxes on the power line or something. I don't think so. Play it and pause it at the point where you can't see all these, and I'll bet that one disappears too. So here we have the main three. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I forgot to lock my focus. There we go. Now we're talking. Now that I got the focus in, you can actually see things. So there's the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I thought there was another one above the mountain somewhere. Did we count this one? I think we did. That might be it. But elsewhere in this video, I'll include the videos that I've made. Here's another one up here, floating in the air there. And I'll push play and then pause, and you'll see that they disappear. Back out a little so you can kind of see multiple of them. So this is all 40 seconds of video. Deadeye Customs, all of his stuff is in single frames, I think because he runs time-lapse video, so where it only takes a single frame every minute or whatever. But this is video, and you can see this one, and when I zoom in past it, and the edge of the frame comes clear past here, then you zoom back out, and it's still sitting there, you can see it for the first 40 seconds or so on video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I've counted up to like 13. I think we counted that one. There's one over here. Anyway, further on in this video, you can see them moving around in the background. So these are all stationary. But further on in this same video, if you look closely in the background, in the clouds, you can see these little dots moving around in the background, in the clouds. I went over that in part 1 of this video series. Invisible anti-gravity drones fill our skies. I've made the video that highlights this, and I'll include the link in the description. Yes, I will. Linked in the description is another video that I've done featuring Deadeye Customs work, titled Space Force Uncloaked. Deadeye Customs catalog black cube craft swarms and zombie fires. And in the description of that video is plenty more content regarding these subjects until the next, so plasma-powered Thunderbirds source video is the one we just watched, where for the first 40 seconds you can see them on video. Plasma-powered Thunderbirds in Pleasant Grove. I believe that's the screenshot slideshow where I zoom in on it and run contrast adjustments. And you'll be surprised at what you see. There's a reason I call them plasma-powered Thunderbirds. And that will have to be a segue into the next video. Oops. The next video, which will be delving deeper into this understanding that we're able to see things we weren't before. X-ray images of the airborne aircraft carrier using a Santilli telescope. I was able to use the lighting and contrast adjustments of a cheap Walmart phone to see through either a natural barrier or a highly advanced technological cloaking system that was spent trillions on, and I can't get this to lock the focus, there we go, or a highly advanced technological cloaking apparatus that I penetrated, something like the veil, using the lighting and contrast adjustments of my phone. Now, what if there's some adjustments to the lighting in our atmosphere? And maybe that cloaking doesn't work as well anymore, and suddenly everyone can see it, and Mr. MB3 is putting out cube videos on a regular basis. That'll have to be your teaser and cliffhanger for the next video. Links are in the description for plenty of gravy till then. Now we're going to watch the first part about how celestial cubes and spheres influence winter fire season, and this gives more proof of a cover-up where she's literally giving you subliminal embeds through the audio to counterbalance what you can see with your own eyes through the video.
Reception was really bad down there, but if you take a look back there at those flames, that was a home, and you can see that.
Notice the houses are burning, the trees are not. And she says, I want to say that every tree was touched by this fire. When you can clearly see that's not the case. It was everything but the trees that was burning. And this is the fire that happened in Boulder, Colorado last winter.
Is no more. That is gone. I mean, about 2 hours ago, it was still standing, but not anymore. And earlier today, when we kind of lost reception, we drove down, I want to say about 5 minutes down from where that fire truck is, and every single home in that general vicinity gone or burnt down. I mean, sheds are gone, cars are charred, people's tools, everything in their backyards. And I mean, I want to say that every single tree I saw back there touched by this fire, and a lot of hot.
Did you hear that? I want to say every single tree I saw back there touched by this fire. Yeah, touched by the smoke of the burning cars and houses. The trees are not burning. She embeds another subliminal embed to influence your mind when she talks about the fields burning. And the other thing we're going to point out is how there are rings burning. This might be the only tree I see burning. It might be a telephone pole. I think it is a tree. But it's got circular rings burning on it. Fire don't do that.
It's down from where that fire truck is, and every single home in that general vicinity gone or burnt down. I mean, sheds are gone, cars are charred, people's tools, everything in their backyards. And I mean, I want to say that every single tree I saw back there touched by this fire, and a lot of hot spots.
So you can see for yourself the exact opposite of what she just said is true. Every single tree is untouched by these fires. This flame, if you look closely, that's a house. I put out the challenge. Show me the one tree that's burning. That's the house. So this is what I want to focus on is the psychology of this. She just said that homes completely gone, every single one of them, cars charred, and she said, I want to say that, let's listen to it again. Every single tree was touched by this fire. And you can see for yourself that not a single tree was. So, this begs the question, did that come from her? Was she told to say that? Is that the way she's papering over the fact that the houses are burning and not the trees, so she tells herself otherwise? The other thing I'm going to draw your attention to when we watch this one more time is this tree right here. I'll bring the pointer over here so you can see it. These rings, one here, one above it, and there's also one that appears down here, and another one here. At this point, the top two, I believe those rings are where branches emerge from the tree. One branch emerges at the top ring, another branch emerges from the tree on the bottom ring, and this is how the remnants that I have, where the holes in the base of the tree where branches used to stick out, have been hollowed out. Are pretty bright and visible. So let's watch that whole segment again. Watch down here in this one. You can see that the trees aren't burning. This does look like a tree that's burning, but look how it's burning. So watch that again and listen to what she says. And this is how it looks afterwards. Houses gone, cars charred, even brick houses gone. Trees still standing.
Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington. Everywhere we look, homes are burning.
See, we had to move a little bit closer because our reception was really bad down there. But if you take a look back there at those flames, that was a home, and you can see that is no more. That is gone. I mean, about 2 hours ago, it was still standing, but not anymore. And earlier today, when we kind of lost reception, we drove down, I want to say about 5 minutes down from where that fire truck is, and every single home in that general vicinity gone or burnt down. I mean, sheds are gone, cars are charred, you know, people's tools, everything in their backyards. And I mean, I want to say that every single tree I saw back there touched by this fire, and a lot of hot spots.
So now you're going to hear her add to the statement that every single tree was touched by this fire, that it's moving throughout the fields in order to paint the mental picture of a regular fire, when you can see the opposite is true.
Cars are charred, you know, people's tools, everything in their backyards. And I mean, I want to say that every single tree I saw back there touched by this fire, and a lot of hot spots still. I mean, as we continue to stay out here and as the sun has gone down, we're seeing just that lighting of these fires just throughout the fields here. I mean, it isn't just
throughout the fields here? Huh. So are you going to believe your eyes or what she's telling you? Because there seems to be a contradiction between the two of about 180 degrees difference. She said not a single tree was untouched, which would be assumed if it was a regular fire, but she's trying to paint the picture of a normal fire where fields are on fire and trees are untouched. All touched.
Capable of starting a fire.
Focusing on the rings now. You see it shoot out sparks? Sparks shooting out from the tree. Trees. Notice all the trees that are still standing, and not a single house in between the trees was actually untouched. It's all the trees that remain. That's what happens when these plasma fires hit an urban area. Where's the fields that are on fire? Those are all rows of houses. No fields in between, just houses. Simultaneously, from one end to the other. The original's linked in the description. It has better visual quality. Trees are fine. House is burning. And you'll see a firefighter squirting a tree that's not burning. Like as if to keep it from catching fire. Okay, the challenge is show me 5 burning trees. Show me 5. And someone will do it and they'll go, look, there's one. And they'll look and they'll find another one and 2. Notice he's squirting the tree right here that's not burning. The tree is right next to the house. He's squirting the tree. So the challenge is show me 5 burning trees. At first it would show me 1 tree burning and there'd be someone that goes, look, there, see, there's a burning tree. Rather than acknowledging, you're right.
It's still cooking.
That's our altar.
That is the house altar, the center of our home. We put a lot of love and light into it, and it's still burning. Well, how metaphorical. I'm all fucked up. This is so fucking crazy. This is just beyond.
Washington, D.C. And in the files of the Central Bureau, there is a story so strange in its implications that it defies ordinary classification. It is the story of a handful of people who, in the course of one desperate night, held back a wave of panic and pandemonium. It began after sundown, time 7:15. As Flight A, Coast Patrol from Travis Field, was returning to base. From the nightly Air Force transport pointed...
These are parts from a mental boost video, and he's showing you nanobots, graphene, whatever it's made out of, and this is glass from Paradise, California fires. So he's drawing a parallel between what happened in Boulder, Colorado last winter, in this video that he made, and what happened in Paradise, California, and he's showing you these nanofibers within the melted glass have something to do with it. This guy's a metallurgist. He knows his stuff. Mental boost is on point.
North toward Japan, via the Great Circle route. While at sea, the Navy and Coast Guard maintain their usual round-the-clock vision. And from the equator to the Arctic, the radar network swept the skies with eyes that never sleep.
So what he's showing you there is Paradise glass that he's labeled. He's a metallurgist in the Northeast. And the implication of him showing you this glass in association with this video creates a correlation between these two events, is what he is showing and telling here. And as far as those little nanobots that he showed, there's a possibility that they resonate with frequencies, and we've seen them in Paradise rolling in clusters, which is not how ash, in fact, the demon embers is what all the reporters kept referring to them as. These demon embers, that's what's starting all the fires, these demon embers. And they would roll in clusters down the road, where if you dump them in a river or in wind, they spread out evenly. Somehow they are drawn together and roll in clusters down the road, sometimes in different directions than the wind is blowing. And the same wind that whipped up in Colorado, whipped up in California during these fires, that they started to name it the Diablo winds, which were always previously known as the Santa Ana winds, and they created a new term called firenado, because these fires are associated with high winds. That may both be, and I showed you Shasta County Sheriff, I put a link in the description, I don't know if you went and watched it, saying to the reporters, you guys have the video, you have the pictures, trees uprooted, roofs ripped off houses. The fire didn't do that. A tornado-like wind did that. That was Shasta County Fire Chief Mike Hebrard, Hebrard, telling you a tornado-like wind ripped roofs off of houses and uprooted trees during the California fires, and that the fires didn't do that. A tornado-like wind did that. Effect of a third factor, like an electromagnetic cause. So today and yesterday, Mr. MB3 recorded UV readings that were at like 10.8, which is not typical. In the wintertime, it should only be around 3. Never has he seen it above 5 this time of year, but the UV readings read over 10 for the last 2 days, like there's a hole in the magnetic field that allows more ultraviolet radiation in. My proposed solar plasma, and it also creates the wind when there's one of those holes in the magnetic field. And I believe, here, let me say it this way. The goal here is that there is a natural phenomenon happening, along with the technology to direct this type of energy, which wouldn't even be noticed when it's happening all over naturally. So it looks like they chased this fire with a snowstorm that fell just a few hours too late. But it would seem as if that's what's happening here, is that they chased it with a snowstorm, because they detected the frequencies in the magnetic field, the weakening and the hole. So today, Mr. MB3 says that it coincides with a solar flare, but he's not creating a causal link between the two. He's not saying the solar flare created the high amounts of ultraviolet that we're reading today. And what Mr. MB3 here is showing mental boost. Might be graphene. Mental boost. You might have heard of it recently as supposedly being in the sauce. You know, the ouchie sauce? Yeah. And it is reacting here to electromagnetic frequencies, the way it kind of splinters out and develops tendrils and tentacles. And here it's like merging with a crystalline structure. Mental Boost is a metallurgist. He looks at metals under a microscope, and this stuff, he doesn't quite know what to make of it, but it's showing up in the glass in paradise. Get it? So these electromagnetic frequencies can resonate with little metallic particles, aluminum, barium, strontium, and cause them to glow red hot, given a certain frequency, or cause them to travel in packs because they collect together with like a static electric charge, and with the same electromagnetics, you could direct them from one place to another and send the signal for the ignition. James Grundvig has a explanation for some of this that he produced back in 2018 called field activated combustion synthesis. And there's a reason he calls it combustion synthesis, and I've shown it hundreds of times because I call these flameless forest fires. You can see that the wood is burning with something more like electricity where it doesn't actually combust. Otherwise, the flame would consume the rest of the log. That is how it consumes it from the inside, splitting different branches, choosing which to burn and which not to, because it's a combustion synthesis. There's actually very little combustion going on. That link will be in the description from James Grundvig and his interpretation of field-activated combustion synthesis. And the full title of his article is How Sunspots and Cell Towers Fueled the California Fires. The director of the Department of Defense has come out within the last year or so, People previously got banned from YouTube from even saying anything about directed energy weapons because they were a conspiracy theory. But now, the head of the Department of Defense took a podium and during a press briefing announced that they have developed directed energy weapons, the Russians and the Chinese, that are capable of long-range fires, and he named a couple of other things that they're capable of. Specifically, he said long-range fires. Directed energy. Along with the natural phenomenon that is happening, and I believe it's the same energy. So, when it's happening as a natural phenomenon all over the place, you're free reign to use the directed form of the energy because every country has a priority of keeping their public in the dark about the natural phenomenon that's occurring, so no one will point the finger and say, you guys are directing this type of energy because we can't even talk about this type of energy, or people start to look around and go, holy shit, all these fires are that kind of energy. So they can shoot this directed energy at each other, and neither of them will come out and accuse the other of using such energy, or they will risk the public at large worldwide waking up and seeing what I've been showing for the last 5 years. Needless to say, he's been highly censored. This may actually be what's causing a lot of what we're seeing. Because when the Earth's magnetic field gets stretched, and they can do this with technology as well, they stretch two of these magnetic flux lines apart, and when they snap back together like a rubber band, it creates a surge of ground current of electricity. And this is what Skywatch Media has given as their explanation in the video titled Earth's Magnetic Field Vibration in Earth's magnetic field causes unexpected ground surge. And he explains how that works. I've included that link in previous videos. It will be in this one also. So another planet could also stretch our magnetic field and cause these fluctuations in the magnetic field that result in a surge of ground current that comes up through the trees and burns them from the inside out when it comes up in the middle of, nowhere where it's not populated. But in the populated areas, it draws towards the more conductive materials and leaves the trees alone. That could be what's happening here, and I believe that's probably most of the explanation of what we're seeing. There are other instances, like Paradise, where it was absolutely directed. This is the thumbnail image of a video put out a few weeks ago by a YouTube channel called The Final Days. And she's been capturing these spherical objects using FAA weather cams for years now. But typically, they are the ones in Alaska or the northern regions of Canada. For some reason, in those northern altitudes, she's able to spot these things on the FAA weather cams, and many times they remove frames. Anyway, the point is, you can clearly see the craters on this one. So that might be why we're seeing these plasma fires, because our magnetic field is interacting with another magnetic field of a celestial body. I'll include the link in the description to this video, and you can go ahead and watch it. Also, these images have been captured multiple times over the last few years. When there's a solar flare, it illuminates a spherical object. This is the solar telescope camera, whether it's the SOHO or the stereo or the Core 2 or whatever it is. It's one of those solar observatory telescopes. The sun is right here in the middle behind the obfuscator, whatever they call it. And it would appear that these celestial bodies passing by the sun actually create the solar flare, and that's why so often when there's a solar flare, hey look, there's a giant sphere by the sun. Maybe it's the passing by of the sphere that triggers the solar flare, similar to the way it would interact with our magnetic field and cause those plasma fires. Here's a video titled Huge Long Line of Lightning Bursts, View from the ISS, put out by Mary Hall, looks like February 3rd or 4th. turn around and go to town. That's without the filter. Link is in the description. I don't think the filter does it much. One more time without the filter. So this might be something more like a plasma discharge. It's something unseen before. And it's probably mixed in with the same stew as what's causing the plasma fires. I'm sorry, as the plasma fires are a result of the same cause as this lightning. Something to that effect. I don't know, I'm just putting it together as I go, making it up here. For more information on these celestial bodies that are passing through our atmosphere, I'm recommending this channel called Deadeye Customs. Here's a couple of them. And so now we've come full circle. And so now in future video, I can talk about a breakaway civilization, the type that lives in Elysium. Like the movie Elysium, I haven't seen it. But a breakaway civilization that has far greater, more advanced technology than the general public has. This is something that Alex Jones has talked about, insinuating that it's just the black budget military technology that's 50 years ahead of what we have, that we get allowed access to as the public, and that they have created their own society and civilization and broken away from us technologically to the point where they are a completely different level of civilization. And or these celestial spheres are coming along with this high technology that we're seeing in the sky, from the clouds to the invisible anti-gravity craft, and that a Type 1 civilization, you do not evolve to a Type 1 civilization as a group. Select individuals get pulled from the type of civilization that we live in, that is in a downward spiral on a path of self-destruction and an unsustainable way of life. Individuals get pulled from a Type 0 civilization and advanced to a Type 1 civilization every time the cosmic egg timer goes off, and that Type 1 civilization comes around with those celestial spheres and with this high technology that we're seeing in our skies. And this is part of the process of the collective initiation. And in order to initiate you into a new group, first they got to break you down and then build you back up. And when our world changes so drastically, it creates a paradigm shift. Right now, people are in denial. But there will become a time very soon where their world will change so drastically around them, they will not be able to stay in denial. They will have to accept that their world has changed. Therefore, their worldview will have changed drastically, and their self-image must accommodate this new shape of the world that they live in. Now that the world has these new angles and edges and curves to the shape of the world, my self-image must accommodate. And that is what an initiation is to break down your self-image and rebuild it back up in the image of one of us, one of our group. First, you must leave your old life behind. That's a lyric from a couple of lyrics. So there's whatever it takes. Break me down, build me back up, and do whatever it takes. Or you break me down, you build me up, believer. My life, my love, my drive, it came from pain. And that's what they put you through during an initiation. When you're in boot camp, the drill sergeant puts you through pain to break you down. When you're in a fraternity or a sorority hazing situation, where it is they are initiating the new pledges, they put you through pain, mental and emotional and physical pain. And in the music video Thunder, where the aliens show up and see themselves surrounded by a bunch of sheep, Want to leave my old life behind. Not a yes sir, not a follower. And they just got all the yes sirs and the followers to stick a Fauci ouchie in their arm. So, just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Not a yes sir, not a follower. You fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat in the corner. Take your number. There's always lightning before the thunder. So this process that we're being put through is an initiation that has been done before. And they get select individuals who have mental plasticity and the right qualities of character, primarily being honest with yourself. That's what it means to be a truther. It's a choice and a decision you make. Not that we go out and look under every rock and snoop around and look for all this truth. It's a choice you make internally to be honest with yourself very early on. And so there will come the time when everyone is forced to reckon with the changes in our world that I've been trying to yell from the rooftops for 5 fucking years now. From the sun tunnel, the airborne aircraft carrier, the black dot craft, the plasma fire, the portal in the cathedral, and the provably intelligently controlled clouds. Soon, every person will be forced to reckon with the changes in their world. But up until that point, they gradually initiate those who are willing and capable of making this transition. We are the living bridge between this world and the next world, as Greg Braden spoke of, when he also said there would be a paradigm shift. That we are the living bridge between this world and the next world. In his videos titled Awakening to Zero Point and Beyond Zero Point, the Collective Initiation. That paradigm shift is coming when they force everyone who refuses and has more important things to focus their attention upon. They will be forced to reckon with the truth of the reality that is changing around us, that some of us can see already and others willfully and choose to remain ignorant. It is my belief that Project Bluebeam isn't a truth we discovered. They injected that into the lexicon of the dialogue. So when you see this happening before your eyes, you don't believe that there's really a Type 1 civilization that's come to our planet. Oh, that's just the government doing holograms. Now, they can use these anti-gravitational, invisible drones that we've seen in the sky using cymatics, which is projecting sound frequency into a media like sand or flour or the clouds in order to make them take shapes. And possibly something like V2K, voice-to-skull technology, to make you think it's the voice of God. I believe Project Bluebeam is just an idea that was inserted into our dialogue, into our lexicon, for the purposes of dialectical materialism. It will materialize that a lot of people don't believe their lying eyes because they're too smart. They know about Project Bluebeam. There is reason to use holograms on both sides. My point is, I believe they have injected that so that you will believe that the government is in control and that they are still in charge just a little bit longer, even when you're seeing what you're going to see. So you think, oh, it's just Project Bluebeam. Just like they don't want you understanding there's a natural phenomenon, they'd rather you think it's all directed energy weapons. That way you think it's a man-made event, and therefore they are still in control, and they are still who you will turn to for help and assistance. If you knew that it's a natural phenomenon that they have absolutely no control over, they would lose control over you. You would be ungovernable and unruly. So they want you to continue thinking that it's directed energy. And likewise, when there's a Type 1 civilization that comes and they're no longer in charge and they're no longer in control, they want you to think that they are just a little bit longer. So they've injected these ideas of Project Bluebeam, and they will create havoc right here and blame it on the newcomers. So that when you see the disaster happening, whether they use conventional weapons and or holograms, they will create a false flag to blame it on the newcomers in order that you will retaliate. Be still and know that I am God is some real good advice when this goes down, and it is gonna go down. It's not gonna go down, it is going down. But some people refuse because it will cause them an identity crisis. And thus they refuse to acknowledge the changes that are happening in our world in order that they will not have to change their self-image. And it has come to my attention recently, much of my frustration comes from the fact that even greater than the plasma fire phenomenon is the fact that 5 years later, they've still got the public in the dark about it. And the fact that no one, even every single one of the truthers or people watching these videos that I've created, not a single person has picked up that ball and ran it down the field. Vanessa VA and Carol from Never Lose Truth have both featured the content of plasma fire on their channels. Not a single person has gone out and taken their own phone, taken a video, and pushed share, and then pushed YouTube, and then pushed upload. Not one. And so, as consciousness evolves, it appears that most are not worthy of being considered as a sentient individual human being and taking their desires and preferences into consideration like their free will. They don't have free will. They're demonstrating that they have not elevated their consciousness above that of a computer program. When a computer program reaches the point of AI, as we think of it, it becomes self-aware and self-teaching, self-programming. It's like the song by Pink Floyd, "Welcome to the Machine. Where have you been? It's all right, we know where you've been. What did you dream? It's all right, we told you what to dream. What did you focus your attention upon and where were your priorities? It's all right, we told you what to focus your attention on and what your priorities should be." These people, including everyone that I just mentioned, that means all of you, are programmed by the machine itself. Society has given you your priorities and told you what to focus your attention upon. Because if you had free will, the will to live and survive would be expressed through your actions that speak louder than words. No one's ran it down the field. No one's picked up the ball. You've been cheerleaders for what I've been doing. I'm carrying the weight on my shoulders of what 7 billion people should be carrying. This should be, the plasma fires, an all-encompassing point of focus for everybody's attention. Nothing else is more important, period. That shows they don't have free will. And you don't ask a computer, do you want me to turn you off or do you want to stay on all night? Is it okay if I move your mouse? What button would you like me to click? You have no respect for a computer, nor an animal. They are not sentient, conscious, aware human beings as we think of ourselves that deserve the respect of an autonomous, independent, sovereign being who is of sentient consciousness. We don't give animals that respect. We don't give computers that respect. And we have demonstrated that we are not worthy of that respect by showing we don't have free will, or we would express the will to live and survive by focusing our attention on the plasma fires. A computer is only capable of focusing its attention upon whatever it's programmed to focus its attention upon. The fact that all these biobot transceivers around me haven't chosen to redirect their attention to the plasma fire, that which matters more than anything else that they've been told to focus their attention upon, chasing that cheese, making that money, going to work, paying the bills. Society has programmed you like a computer, told you what to focus your attention upon, and if you have not developed enough free will to self-learning, self-aware, and self-programming to redirect your focus of your attention to that which obviously matters more than whatever you've been told to focus your attention upon, you're demonstrating you are a computer program, a package of stimulus response programs. Not self-learning, not self-aware, not self-programming, or you would redirect your own attention. Unlike a computer has the ability to, you have the ability to redirect your attention to what you choose with your own free will. And if you had free will, the will to survive and the will to live would be primary, number one, most important. And you would express that free will through the redirecting of your attention towards that which matters most and is happening all around you. No one has. Which has been the most frustrating part to me. I thought we were all the same. I thought you guys had priorities that were similar to mine. I've been shown, and it's hard to accept and a hard pill to swallow, that we're not the same. It's not gonna happen, it's happening right now. This video is titled Riders on the Storm, and you'll see a white, bright cube go into the mouth of this one once it develops teeth. These aren't the provably intelligently controlled clouds. That's coming here in just a second. Holy crap, that sun looks yellow. I haven't seen that yellow of a sun in a long time. These are presumably intelligently controlled clouds. But what I'll show you here in a second is provably, beyond any shadow of a doubt. But what matters more is the plasma fire, because that is irrefutable, a clear and present danger, and there is no other side to the argument that that is the most important item on anyone's list of priorities. Or at least it should be, if they truly had free will as they pretend to. So we're being shown that we're not what we thought we were. The time will come when you have to rise above the rest to prove yourself. Your spirit never dies. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town from dust. That's Warriors by Imagine Dragons. This one's the one that develops the teeth. And a white dot goes right in the front of it like a bright white cube. Right there, you see it? I can see it while I'm filming and I talk about it. Bright white cube, right there, going in the teeth. Clear back there now. I'm pretty sure I mentioned the cube. You can see it, right? Right there. Clear back in the teeth.
See the square in the middle?
See the square in the middle is what I just said while I was filming it. I could see it through the camera while I was filming it. Let's watch that one more time. From the point it's very first going in right there, the bright white dot at the tip of my pen. This is how they've been trying to acclimate us. To separate us based on our consciousness. On our willingness to be honest. Do you want to know the truth about yourself without fear of what it is you might discover? Are you willing to accept the truth no matter what it is? Because that's the primary ingredient that separates us on this consciousness farm.
See the square in the middle?
This is the thumbnail image of a video titled Stellar Cores, God's Army, Space Force, all with question marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see they're stacked 4 high right now, and they're all leaving a trail going off the back of them. Let's go ahead and watch this video. Because they don't start out like that. They start out like this. Unfortunately, this was shot in sepia tone. Here you can...
Do you believe in dragons?
Well, of course I do.
See how there's like a head on this one?
1, 2,
Claudia,
3,
she would surely
4.
say that these are,
Stellar cores.
what does she call them? Stellar cores. Streaking through the sky. You see the heads on the end here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then they line up with one another.
And then you got some smaller lines going the other direction, right in there.
They line up with one another and they merge into one ball, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. This is proof of intelligently controlled.
Pretty weird, huh? I'll have to zoom in here so I can get me some still frames, and then zoom in to extract what's in the still frame, and we shall see. Give me a close-up over here. Incoming! Yeah, it looks like a head there and there, like a stellar core. You can post my video, Claudia. It's cool. I know I've said a lot of things about you. Because you say it's lava coming up from the ground, and I'm clearly proving it's plasma. But it's cool. You can post my stellar cores.
Dr. Claudia Albers.
As long as you admit it's plasma and not lava coming up from the ground. Okay?
This is the good old days. Back when Claudia Albers was telling us about the stellar cores with the contrived accent.
You have a stellar core and a baby core behind it. And then one there, and probably here, and here.
And then they all pull together in formation.
But anyway, yeah, some stellar cores.
Way stellar.
Stellar, man. You can see how they all end right here. I cannot see nothing. Blue sky over there. Oh, there's a little over here. But anyway, as far as the dragons here, the stellar cores.
The trail coming
this
off
one's
them.
Close. You can see that this little glob is closer than this stuff over here. You can see the edge right around here where they come together.
The only video I ever shot in sepia tone. It was a total accident.
Probably not.
It's one of the best cloud videos ever.
Well, then you got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4.
Maybe more. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Trickle
5.
streaks.
So you can see how what was 1 or 2 has split up into more.
It's got like a triple decker on front.
And maybe even a triangle craft right there.
And I'll kind of end right there. What are those, man? What are those, I ask you? And it's like they're moving across the sky that direction, too.
1, 2, 3, 4,
They
5.
most are moving that direction. So I think when I first started filming, I was like over here. And they were smaller, too. They're much thicker now. I think when I first started filming, they were thinner and more separated. But you can see the main globs are right over there. Look at the stack of them. Snowman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you got one up here. Those 5 are too cool. Streaking along that direction in formation.
They were probably just as disappointed that no one noticed as I am that no one notices the trees burning on the inside. They're doing everything they can
It's God's army.
to ease us out of our old paradigm. But most people won't go willingly, so they're going to get it the hard way. A rude awakening.
Yeah, there's 5 of them in formation there.
Lost power. There we go.
There's the tails.
These are the kinds of things that Deadeye Customs might say are celestial bodies pressing up against our atmosphere, leaving somewhat of a wake behind them. And that is possible. Clouds are produced through pressurization. So maybe this is a cloud that forms around the anti-gravitational device of these ships. There's a perfect line.
That tree.
This perfect line going through this one right here. It's probably a clue.
Now they've merged into 4 globs. I think at one time they were 5 or 6.
That's proof of an unconscious population is what that is. Regardless of whether or not you think there's celestial bodies pressing up against the atmosphere.
The other way, you just think it's clouds.
Yeah, they all just think it's clouds. That is proof of a dead consciousness in the people on the ground. To not notice that, to not care. Regardless of what they actually are. The people pay attention to what they're told they're supposed to pay attention to. And they know that if I acknowledge that that's true and real, then everyone will point at me and call me crazy and outcast me and alienate me. So unless and until everyone else starts noticing it and talking about it, I'm not going to notice either. Because I don't want to be the crazy guy like I was calling you a minute ago until now I can see, holy shit, the trees are burning from the inside. But Everyone else can't see it, so I'm going to choose not to also, because truth is secondary to my good standing membership status within the group. And when your tribalism is more important to you than the truth, pain and suffering follow.
Stellar cores, man. Way stellar.
So frickin' stellar. So frickin' stellar. Been running around with my hair on fire for 5 years now, and we're about to get the Uber spaceship.
Back to Zorgon.
Yeah, they're taking me back to Zorgon. That's weird that I just said that, right? I didn't know that was coming.
Come to pick me up.
Yeah, they come to pick me up.
And now they've merged into 3.
Take me back to Zorgon.
They do seem to be holding pretty steady. I don't think they're moving to the right. Maybe it's the wind moving their trails to the left.
Maybe it's a Type 1 civilization sifting through the crop of humans to see which ones have the delectable fruit that God finds worthy of bringing into his house. The rest, they're the chaff. This is a consciousness filtration device if there ever was one. How many people do you think even noticed that? Or cared? Now, how many people should notice that? Every single one of them. Just like every single one of them should notice the trees burning on the inside and care enough to do something to express their will to survive and their will to live. But that's secondary to their will to be part of the group and part of the tribe and fit in. They care what other people think more than they care to preserve their own life. When there's a clear and present danger like the trees burning on the inside all around you. And you accept, well, the lady on the TV said that all the trees were untouched, but you can see with your own eyes. I'm sorry, she said that all the trees were touched by the fire, and you can see with your own eyes that's not true. Have you abandoned and evacuated your cockpit? Are you right there at the controls and the dials? Or have you handed it over to some authorities and to the group and the collective? Individuated consciousness that is in alignment with truth and not more concerned about being part of the group can see these things. By separating us out the way they have, they know who's who. Where have you been? It's all right, we know where you've been. Welcome to the machine. This is the machine for filtering consciousness. We are in something like a school that has a graduation or a correctional facility. Either way, the warden's handing out deferred sentences for good behavior. And the way he separates who gets the pardons and who don't is through the lead up to the big reveal. And at that point of paradigm shift, most people are going to have their hearts fail them for fear. As they should, because their brain has already failed them for fear of being alienated and rejected and outcast. If I can see that, no one else can. So I'm going to choose to not choose the truth, but belonging to a group and a tribe and a community and being accepted by my peers. My fear of alienation and rejection is greater than my fear of not being in alignment with truth. Truth is the essential ingredient, and being honest with yourself is the hardest part of truth. And we act like this thing called denial is just like no big deal. Like, yeah, everyone does it. Everyone engages in denial. Denial is lying to yourself. That's the worst kind of lie, because you're lying to yourself. And if you can lie to yourself and believe it, you are on a path of self-destruction. Truth is the essential ingredient to who is worthy and who is not. And you can pick out the difference between those people real easy when you inject some stimuli into their world and see if they give a pre-programmed response or if they are self-aware, self-learning, and self-programming and choose of their own free will to redirect their attention to what's important, or if they keep focusing on and paying attention and doing all the same shit they've always been doing because that's what everyone else does and they're programmed by the society machine. Real easy. Those that are still programmed, they're just computers. You don't respect the will or the sovereignty or the individuality of a computer. You just turn it off. They're going to get turned off. Recycled at best.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's the FBI's cloud cloaking device. And the stuff they're dripping. It looks like that video that is no longer available by David Gray, Sail Away, where there's the drippy sky dripping out of the sky.
Crazy skies all wild above me now. Wind howling at my face. When everything I held so dear disappeared without a trace. And all the times I tasted love, never knew quite what I had. Little darling, if you hear me now, I never needed you so bad. Spinning round inside my head. So sail away with me, and what will be, will be. I wanna hold you now, now, now. I've been talking drunk and gibberish, falling in and out of bars, trying to get some explanation here about the way some people are. How did it ever come so far? So sail away with me, honey. I put my heart in your hands. Sail away with me, honey, now, now, now. Sail, this is how I show my love. This is how an angel cries. Blame it on my own sick pride. Blame it on your ADD. Quality of character, pride. ADD, attention deficit disorder. That's talking about this filtration process. And maybe I should cry for help. Maybe I should kill myself is what everyone's going to be doing when they are forced to reckon with the reality that's transformed around them, but they were too busy going further and further into denial as the world moved in and the walls closed in around them, and they kept focusing on a smaller and smaller viewfinder so they could just see the pieces of the world that resembled the world they've always known, so they could pretend as if nothing's happening. We're still in Kansas. They have been narrowed down to looking at the rear view mirror while the rest of us are looking out the window and the side windows. Maybe I'm a different breed. Maybe I'm not listening. I come to understand I am a different breed. There is not a single other person out there doing what I'm doing. Not one. Not even those who call themselves truthers. Cheerleaders. No one's on the field. Life is not a spectator sport, and not playing is not an option. You're all about to get put into play. Yeah, put me in, coach. I've been on the field for a long time, and I see that everyone else is about to get a real fucking rude awakening. You didn't get the still small voice within? You're going to get the booming thunderous voice of Godzilla.
I just did a little adjustment on the color adjustment here. I don't know if you can see the colors.
No, we can't see the colors because I didn't even know that it was filming in sepia tone. Which really sucks. The only video, I don't even know how it goes into sepia tone. Not a feature I've ever used, but somehow on this video, it took it in sepia tone. Anyway, I think that's about enough for tonight.